Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
Hello and welcome to Miguel and Holly Uncensored. This is our off-air podcast that we do 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Make sure to leave us a review if you can. We greatly appreciate it. And congratulations again to...
Is it the T?
I think I still have it saved here.
Tahira. Yes, I thought
Tahira. Yes, for winning our little competition we have. Make sure to reach out to us when you hear it on the... why don't you message me, Miguel Fuller, on my Instagram so I can get you hooked up with that. So thank you again. And we're still looking for reviews on there, but we'll restart something new in the new year. Okay. Well, without further ado, I mean, with this being the climax of spooky season, let's welcome spooky queen herself, Miss Soul Worker Stacy.
Hello, hi y'all. How are you doing?
Doing good.
We're out here in these streets, is what we are.
You know, happy spooky season.
Yes.
Are you enjoying your spooky season, Miss Stacy?
I'm loving my spooky season. It is like, and all of a sudden going to be Tuesday, and I'm going, holy smokes, where did October go?
Yes.
We are.
It's craziness. And I want you guys also to realize this is that time of year to start paying attention to where you're at in life, because this is that sneak peek of what next year's to bring. So
the November sneak peek.
Just a real sneak peek. It's yeah.
So is it November that you sort of pay attention to that is setting the pace for 2024?
Absolutely. And you're going to see, and there's a lot of chaos going on right now too with everybody. I've been having a lot of different sessions with people just feeling out of sorts, and as if they are truly feeling like they're going 4 steps ahead and 17 steps back. That's just kind of the vibe right now. And to be patient with yourselves and to try to keep that positive mindset and a perspective, because it's just the vibe of everything right now. So
yeah. I definitely get that. It just feels like just chaos right now. And not just obviously with everything happening in the world, and overseas, but like even here in the country with our whole Speaker of the House and all of that. And then the new person, it just feels like mass chaos. But weirdly enough, normally I feel like I'm very like, I take in all of that and I feel chaotic. But I strangely feel like not at peace, but I'm not letting it like get to me on the day to day.
And that's where you have to keep that going, because especially more sensitive people right now, subconsciously, truly are feeling everything from everywhere. If you're just extra emotional or extra snappy or just like I said, out of sorts, and you can't put your finger on it, imagine you're subconsciously more than likely picking up the chaos of the world. And Miguel, you've worked really hard on trying to stay in your bubble. So I'm quite impressed with that.
I think also having Abe be in the hospital and just dealing with that, it's like literally helped me like escape from the crazy, but then deal with that. So I was just like, all right, we're just right here dealing with this right now. Nothing else matters right now. Just this right here.
And I mean, I want to point out too, we are like, it's eclipse season, right? So there's an eclipse happening this weekend with
tomorrow.
Full moon.
Full moon tonight, I think. Is that right? And then eclipse tomorrow. Like, it's a heavy weekend, I think. I haven't not done the research. I have been really like slacking. I feel like I've slipped into some just yuck. And then that keeps me away from like learning about my fun little moon, crystals, things like that. And so I just want to try to catch up this weekend, make some new moon water, maybe charge some stuff in the moonlight, because it's the hunter's moon, I think, is something.
Yes.
Anyway, it's a lot of energy this weekend.
And this eclipse is going to affect all 4 of us. Sincerely, because you're the Leo, Miguel, Calvin, you're the Cancer, Holly, you're the Cap, and I'm the Taurus. And those are the 4 signs that it really is playing with a lot. So be fair warned.
Oh, good.
All right. Got my hackles up. I'm ready. Let's go. Here we go.
I'm making moon water.
I can't drink, so I think I'll be good.
It'll be fine. It's fine.
Sip on things.
Well, let's welcome to Miguel and Holly Uncensored, our new Platypus Posse member, D from Fort Mill. D, thank you so much for letting us eavesdrop on your session with Stacy. So, D, here's how this works on the Miguel and Holly Uncensored. Literally, the three of us, Holly, producer Kelvin, and myself, we turn our microphones down, and it's literally you and Stacy having a session. And so we will pull back and let you all go now.
Thank you.
Hey, Miss D, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
It's so wonderful to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Okay, so here's the deal. I do work solely and strictly through God. You're always in charge of your own fate. You're always in charge of your own destiny. I can feel everything, past, present, future. And I'm like an ADHD squirrel on crack. I don't mean to be so fast and all over the place, but it's just how I roll, and I have no professionalism, so you get who you get. I want to start immediately because when I logged on, they were just like getting you situated. And immediately I'm like, oh, her grandmother's passed on her mom's side. And it's like, you have an angel over your shoulder constantly.
Oh, thank you.
You've had a lot of challenges in your life, and she's kind of been your extra protection. Oh. You also have other angels that sit around next to you. I guess you either almost passed when you were born or in vitro, or you had like close calls as you've been growing up. Yeah. And you have a lot of different people who have protected you. God walks beside you. Your life has been a little bit more chaotic than most, but you take it in stride because you know your purpose. I adore you for that. You're a very strong individual. And I know you're going to look at me and go, it's not strength, it's just life. But I admire that. You're an amazing human being. And I love your light. I love your attitude. And I love who you are and the difference that you make in the world. The fact that you can befriend anybody is such a gift. You can be in the grocery store and you will literally have random strangers just come up to you and start telling you their life stories. That's because they feel God on you. That's because they do feel the angels. That's because they do feel who you are and what you've been through. So that is a part of the things that you're doing. Don't be surprised. You're always in charge of your own fate. You're always in charge of your own destiny. Don't be surprised if you end up either you're already doing something secondary as far as like a nonprofit is concerned, or volunteer work, or if you're running one as is, because that's a part of, again, your purpose. And don't be so, I always use the cookie jar analogy where people have like cookie jars sitting in front of them, and each cookie jar represents a project. You have 6 of them. Your mind is constantly going. You're constantly trying to get involved wherever you can. Your life is not going to be cut short. Try to let that go. Okay. There's a subconscious fear of yours where you're like, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. What if? You're good. Like, you have a very long life ahead of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Your father's still here?
He is.
Okay. He's going to be okay. I don't know if he's going through some kind of life stuff going on right now, but it's like, I want to give you reassurance. Okay. Does that make sense to you? What's going on with the job thing? I'm so intrigued with this because you're leveling up with what you're doing.
I actually am an entrepreneur. I'm a realtor, so I make my own schedule. I do basically my own thing. But I visited New Zealand 4 years ago and have fallen in love with the country. And I've been trying to figure out how to get there. I've actually applied, and I went through a whole bunch of things here recently. Thankfully, my health is getting better, but New Zealand has a lot of restrictions. You can't be 55 when you go, which I'm not. And you have to be healthy because they don't want you actually sucking their resources.
Right. Yeah. Causing them more money.
Yeah.
Within 2 years, I keep seeing you living there. You're always in charge of your own fate. You're always in charge of your own destiny. But I keep seeing like a 2-story, like townhome area of what you're living in with big windows around it, almost I almost want to go, it's like in the jungle because I see all this countryside around you.
I've always wanted to have a whole bunch of land, and basically because of what I do, I'm always on, and I would like some time off.
And get the animals.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. That's the nonprofit stuff, is the animals.
Yeah.
So get the animals.
That's awesome.
So
what made you put your hand over your mouth, Dee, when she said animals?
So if I could walk you around my house, I actually have pictures of Scottish Highland cows. And I actually like the little furry, I've had 4 spinal surgeries in the last 5 years. And, the thought of actually hauling hay scares the bejesus out of me, but I would really actually love to have Highland cows and goats. And I already have 3 dogs as it is, but it would be nice to have a zoo. I have clients who have Great Danes. I would love to have, one of every kind of dog.
Literally.
But my partner actually jokes and says that Great Danes are not dogs; those are horses. So
I'm so excited for you. And sincerely, I want you to understand that, like we were talking about with all your health issues, it's going to get better. Keep up that attitude. Keep up the positivity. I know how frustrating things can be. I know with the neuropathy and stuff like that you've got going on. But I truly look into stem cells as well, because that's been something you keep hearing about. Don't blow that off.
I actually have my son. I had 3 children, and I actually have his placenta from when he was born. So I actually might be able to pull that back in.
Yes.
And be able to use that. That would be wild. I don't even know where to start with that. I'll have to figure that out.
Start making phone calls, because I'm intrigued. I want to follow up on that, because I'm really, the fact that came up and you do that was just like, whoa, okay. So yeah. And the other thing too is butterflies from the grandmother is a big deal. She really is one of your guardians. You also lost a puppy. Oh, not a puppy, but a dog. I need you. They are also with you. They did not suffer when they passed. And thank you for telling them it was going to be okay, because your voice settled them to fall asleep. You did good.
He was the best dog.
He loved you. He was like your soul baby.
Oh,
And those eyes, you could look into his soul with just, you knew what he was thinking. You knew he was feeling everything with those eyes.
that was the best dog. That was the best dog.
So
his name was Spanky.
Aww.
He was an English pit bull mix.
He's so funny, and he is a spunky little dude. You guys, you know how you hear about dogs being like people? This dog in particular was like a little man. Like literally, he would just, you could talk to him and he would just sit there and stare at you as if he heard every word you were talking about. So
we used to dress him up. He was a big dog too. It wasn't little, but he was he was stocky. So I mean, he's 40 to 45 pounds. And again, English bulldog and pit bull mix. And he was, we would put t-shirts on it, which he hated, absolutely couldn't stand it. I mean, rub against everything, try to get it off. So it was just, he was an amazing puppy.
I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Dee, thank you so much for letting us eavesdrop in on your conversation with Stacy.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. And Holly, I love your shirt.
Yes, it's one of my Halloween favorites.
Yeah. Well, Dee, you know how on the radio show we always say that, the Miguel and Holly fam, you're in the fam. Well, that's the general broad audience. But then when you come on the podcast or you listen to the off-air podcast, you are now in the Platypus Posse. Yeah. So welcome to our newest member of the Platypus Posse.
Thank you.
Thank you, and have a great weekend, okay?
You too. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Halloween.
Oh.
I love it.
All the tears. Everybody is over here
know,
crying. Look at that. Lizette saying I'm
up.
crying all the tears right now. Heather said I'm doing the same, goosebumps all over. Tony said I'm crying too. You got everybody crying, Stacey.
Aw, y'all. And what's interesting is that the next person, if there is another person, because there's like a really strong male presence all of a sudden, and I'm like, okay.
Well, let's go ahead and jump right in.
Please.
Valerie? Can you hear us? Hi.
Valerie's like, I mean, I'm here.
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning. So I'm not sure how much Kelvin told you, but we are live right now on Facebook and YouTube for Miguel and Holly and Hits. When we start, and you kind of heard a little bit of it because I saw you pop in towards the end of that. Stacey goes real fast, and so as she talks to you, make sure to communicate with us, as she's sort of interpreting all of the image or sense or things that she's seeing, and sort of clue us in on what you're feeling and seeing. Okay.
Will do.
Okay, perfect. All right. So this is where we will step back and let Stacey and you have a conversation.
Hi, friend. How are you?
Hi, okay. I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. So no being nervous. We have to pretend that we are best friends. It'll be fine. Know that I work solely and strictly through God. You're always in charge of your own fate. You're always in charge of your own destiny. Is your dad passed, or is this your grandfather or an uncle on your dad's side?
All three.
Okay. Immediately, your father comes forth, and it's one of these things of needing to apologize to you for not being there for you the way you needed. And it's all of these, like, literally, I don't know if he left too soon, but trying to lift you up and trying to let you know how precious you are, how you are truly such an amazingly beautiful human being, the amount of pride he has for you. And it feels like he never got to say these things enough to you. And he's apologizing for not hugging you enough. You didn't get to say goodbye correctly.
I didn't. No.
Okay. I need you. And your uncle died by accident. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, because I need you to, he didn't suffer and he went right to sleep. Okay, this is, excuse me. This is a girl on a mission. I was feeling these people before. I woke up feeling them today. And that's why, and even before you popped on, I said to them, this is one of those rare times, everybody, where I'm just going to blurt, and this is how this is going to go down. Okay. Your grandfather's one of your guardians. He takes responsibility of who you are. Your grandmother's also passed. Did you cook a lot? Like, everyone cooks a lot. Food is something that brings everybody together, and everybody wants to party. Everybody wants to dance. I need you to know they're in heaven with a party. They're all having fun. They're all together. When you guys have your get-togethers, when you finally get to have the get-togethers because you mourn them, because you don't get to have them like you did, they're still with you guys. Okay. Is your mom passed? Because she shows
no.
What is going on with, did she have like your dad's jacket, or like who has the blanket with your dad? Or like, I want to cover myself up.
My grandmother.
Thank you. Did she make this blanket?
She has a blanket that was made. No, it was made for him when he passed away. It was part of his memorial. So she was given a blanket.
Okay, thank you.
She did, yes.
Yeah, because that, I'm telling you, your grandparents take responsibility for you as if they're number two parents.
I saw them that way, yes. I see my grandmother that way, yes.
And you also lost a pregnancy, correct? Or somebody around you pregnant, because they're holding babies for you.
My sister is pregnant.
Okay. A little girl?
Boy.
Okay. Don't be surprised if he's very sweet and sentimental. It's a female soul. Very feminine soul. He's going to be very sweet, very, very, very sensitive. but let her know that he's okay.
I'll remember that because my
please.
Hardcore.
She keeps freaking out about whether or not he's kicking enough. Tell her he's okay and that he's not going to have issues with the umbilical cord.
Okay. Yes, she has been having issues with filling him.
Yeah. It's only because of the way that he's deep down. It's the way her pelvis is. Also, you need to start sleeping with something between your legs because it'll stop your hip pain. It's almost like you've got restless legs. It's craziness. And the numbness in your fingers and stuff like that, it has something to do with your neck.
All of that, yes.
And nobody will help you.
No one has been able to help.
It's inflammation, baby. And don't you dare, if they look at you and go, oh, well, you need to worry about your weight. F that noise. It has nothing to do with that. You would be a stick. Even if you were a stick, you'd still be dealing with this.
Yeah, I thought it was my weight.
No.
I did.
You got to be nice to yourself because, my God, you are awful.
Very hard on myself, yes.
I know. And you need to see the beauty and the light that you are. You need to understand that you are gorgeous. Inside, outside, you need to know that you're loved. And by the way people treat you, it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. And it's only because you're like the helper. You're the people pleaser. You're the, let me do this. I got this. But you've got to understand that you can't earn love. You got to just be given it because you're freaking priceless, honey.
Thank you. Yeah, I do feel worthless at times. And I do tell myself that I'm worthless at times.
I know. I want you to see your beauty. I want you to see the light. I want you to see who you are. I want you to start looking in that mirror every day and just go, I make a difference because you do. And keep cooking.
I love it. I do love to cook.
I know. It's your happy. And go in and do painting.
Yeah, stay in the kitchen.
You keep going back and forth about wanting to get into painting. Do it.
Yeah, I purchased some paintings off of Amazon and I kind of stopped. And
yeah, no, you need it. It's part of it's how you meditate.
I'm going to hop in real quick. Valerie, you have we just scooped you up and then tossed you up against all the walls and banged you back and forth.
Yeah. I feel like Valerie didn't even really get an intro. We were just like, hey, Valerie, how about your granddad? Like,
I'm sorry, y'all. You know how I am.
I know. She was prepared for all this. It's I think good.
Yeah.
I mean,
how are you? So I kind of want to just ask you some follow-up questions here. With your grandparents and all of that loss you have suffered, obviously it's had physical manifestations in your life, in your physical self and in your emotional self. Can you just what happened if you feel comfortable?
Yeah, my father, I spoke to him 2 days before he passed. My grandfather, I saw him 2 days before he passed. And then my grandmother, I saw her, I believe, 2 to 3 days before she passed. And all of them played a very important part in who I am. My grandfather and my grandmother I didn't meet them until I was 14, but they loved me as if they knew me from day one. So it wasn't like an absent part on their behalf. And I've been wondering if they've been proud. Honestly, I say that almost every day. I say it every day. I really hope I'm making them three proud. Like, honestly.
Yep. Absolutely. Alexa, off. Extremely happy, extremely proud of who you are.
Well, Valerie, hopefully this has given you some peace
and some confidence.
100 and some comfort.
And Valerie, there's a book I want you to read. Holly and I talk about this. Holly, what is it? The body keeps the score.
Yes, the body keeps the score. It's
read it
fantastic for survivors of trauma, and it's not just one necessarily particular type of trauma, but anything that you go through mentally. If you don't address it, it does end up manifesting itself in the body somehow, because the body remembers, even if you don't consciously remember it. But yeah, it's a fantastic read. She's right.
Well, I know that there was a lot that just happened at you really quickly. So take some time to sort of digest. And then, this is what's so great about having your first session with Stacey on the podcast. You can always go back and listen.
Yes.
And listen and just be like, oh, I missed that. Because I'm sure there's some things that Stacey said that you missed because you were trying to catch up with what she said before that.
Yeah. True that.
I just want you to know you haven't disappointed anybody, honey.
Yes. 100%. You are good. You are valid. You are whole, and you are loved, honey.
Immensely.
Maybe if I need it, just go like a tea or something. Yeah, and just sit with the tea and just
maybe breathe a little bit.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
Just kept going.
Well, Valerie, what we just told Dee is, thank you for listening to us on the radio. What part of Charlotte are you in, Valerie?
I'm actually in Tampa, Florida.
Oh,
fam. Okay. Well, you know what's up then. Well, you're now part of the Platypus Posse, girl. Thank you so much for listening and supporting us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alrighty, have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Who, girl, Stacey? You said
foot on her neck.
I hope you're sitting down, because if you're not, you're gonna be on your knees here in a minute. Like, good Lord, Stacey.
Sorry, she needed
One
it.
thing after the next. It was like you were on. It's because the veil's thin, isn't it? That's what it is.
Oh, you know how I get around this time of year.
Girl, there is no veil with Stacey right now.
No,
She's just hopping in and out, girl.
In it. It's I want to point one thing out that you were just talking about with Valerie. Because you're like, there's a baby somewhere, and she's like, oh, my sister's pregnant. And you're like, it's a little girl, and she was like, no, it's a boy. And you said he has a feminine soul.
Yes.
You said that about my fiance, actually. And then I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
And me too.
Did you?
How
do you? Can you just talk on that real quick? Because I've always been very curious about how you sense that. How souls necessarily lean potentially one way or the other. What's my soul? Can you see
masculine?
I knew it. That's so crazy.
Yep.
That's so crazy.
And I'm a masculine soul. Like, all of my lives, I've always been a guy. This is one of my first lives as a male or as a female. And it's interesting because there is feminine and male energy soul. It just is. It's just as it is. And that's where I find it to be really interesting, and where I get frustrated with people, because they're like, oh, you choose to be bisexual, or you no, that's our souls. Our souls are attracted to souls. It doesn't matter the sex. It doesn't matter the person. It matters the connection. And so some people, there are women walking around with male souls. There are men walking around with feminine souls. It's just the way that it is. And it's mind-blowing, because the men who do walk around with the feminine souls are the more sensitive ones, are the ones who are more open to conversation and fixing and healing. The women who have more masculine energy are also the women who tend to take on more, who tend to be more the fixers, who tend to be more emotionally equipped to deal with the BS of life, versus the women who have more feminine souls, because they, again, more sensitive. And it all equals out to what you're supposed to be doing in this lifetime. It's all about what journey you're supposed to be on, the difference you're supposed to be making, and the impact you're supposed to be making.
That makes sense.
What
And
sort of soul do I have?
You're a feminine soul. I've told you that from day one.
Mm.
You wear that heart on your sleeve. You've got to make that difference. You've got to go help the world.
Don't got to be a medium. Say that.
This bitch.
So funny. I love it.
Oh my goodness. Well, Stacy, does anyone before we head out need to be prepared, or like is some crazy shit gonna go down on October 31st on Tuesday?
It's really interesting because I was prepared for this question with you because of all the funk going on and around. And I do believe that within the next 90 to 120 days, we're going to hear news of some horrific thing that goes on. I believe it's going to more than likely be overseas. But I think that they're prepping us. And because if you pay attention, little things have been breadcrumbed. And I think there's more than meets the eye. And so on Halloween, not necessarily. Do I think something's coming? Absolutely. And I think that's the other reason why all of us are feeling out of sorts, because we're human beings. We're animalistic, and we all have senses. Mm-hmm. So I think we're all beginning to sense the scariness coming. So love a little harder, be a little bit kinder, and be a lot more patient.
Look at Miguel's face. You worried, Miguel?
Well, also, as you're saying this, and I was getting some music ready to queue up to close out the show, and I look up at the TV, and one of the local talk shows is on, and they have Paw Patrol live in video. And so they got the characters, and whatever the dog is, they're like, hip, hop, hip. So I was like, girl, we about to...
They're like, there's Ryder and his pups.
So, you got to look for the levity wherever you can find it.
Exactly.
You do.
All right. Well, here's mom. Here, I was looking for some good exit music. Here we go. Stacy, thank you so much.
Oh, freaking.
Thank you. I love you guys.
Stacy, if somebody wants a reading, or do you have any slots open? If someone has a Halloween party and they want to have a psychic medium out?
I do. Absolutely. And you can check it all out. Everything is now on my new and improved website, soulworkerstacyrenee.com. You can actually book parties. You can book sessions. You can book classes and coaching sessions. Everything is available on my website.
Perfect.
How many slots do you have open this weekend?
Miguel, what?
Stacy's not. You can't just. And we're live on the podcast. That's off behind the scenes. Damn. Miguel being nasty.
I'm always nasty.
It depends on how you want it. Never mind. Okay.
See, I knew she was gonna go there. I was just waiting.
Because I'll play.
The masculine and feminine energies.
Exactly. You guys know how bad I am. Poor Holly.
How can people find you online?
I'm the only man keeping it together here. Damn.
I know Holly's really always like, you can always tell when Holly's like, that's funny.
Inappropriate.
I'm like, all right, well, it's run its course.
No, it's not. I want to see your slots. Kelvin, how can people find you online?
Oh no!
I coming live.
Holly, how can people find you?
Radio Holly. Bunch of clowns is
And
what you bunch of clowns.
I am Miguel Fuller. You can find me everywhere. We will not have a podcast on Monday, but we will do one on Tuesday on Halloween.
Ooh,
so
fun.
be looking forward to that.
Okay.
Bye, y'all.
Miguel and Holly Uncensored.
Catch it on the iHeartRadio app or anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Holly, I just want to talk about slots, okay?
I know
Let me
you
see your
do.
slot.
Come on,
I
slot.
see it.
Yeah.